LaxFactor Podcast. What is up, college lacrosse fans, pro lacrosse fans, lacrosse fans in general? This is another episode of the LaxFactor Podcast. I'm losing count and I'm getting my counts wrong. I want to say we're at episode 45. It may very well be episode 46. But either way, we're in the 40s somewhere. We're approaching the mid-40s. I appreciate everybody for watching. So as always, I'll get it out of the way first. If you'd like to support what we're doing here and our coverage of lacrosse in general of the podcast, you can go to LaxFactor.com. You can get yourself some swag. We have awesome shorts, t-shirts, hats, all sorts of stuff. We have LaxFactor related apparel as well as just generic. These are the Maryland flag shorts. So go to LaxFactor.com. And if you wanted to find other ways to support us, it's not up yet, but you'll be able to go to LaxFactor.com/support to find out more ways that you can support the channel long term. So let's get into it now. As I had said with the new format, we're just going to kind of cover and start rambling, more open podcast format about what's going on any given day. So the first thing I wanted to talk about today was people had gotten all up in arms about the PLL scuffle from last weekend. Brett Queener and his cross check in the throat or the face of Hennenberg. So it did finally come out today. Or not today. Today's Saturday. It came out, I believe it was on Tuesday. They finally got around to suspending Queener. So they suspended poor Queener. League statement, and I quote, this is what the league put out. It says, the PLL has determined that the incident involving Chrome LC goalie Brett Queener, which occurred during Sunday's game against Redwoods LC, amounted to dangerous, unsportsmanlike behavior. Go figure. Queener has been suspended for one game and issued a fine by the league. So it's what I expected. I'm all for these guys scrapping, beating each other up. I'm all for the league exploiting when that happens. I'm for the league exploiting this. And but in the end, I think they got this right. It was pretty malicious. The cross-check in both fast and slow motion, it looked pretty rough. Him lording over Hennenberg as he laid on the ground after wasn't good, and his indignation at the end of it wasn't good. But it's lacrosse, man. I'm not mad at Queener. I'm not, yes, he got fined. He's suspended. To me, it's over. I think Queener's still an awesome goalie, an incredible personality for this league. And I think that it's key that they keep him. But so it was deserved. I can't say that it wasn't deserved, and the action seemed appropriate. I love the fire, though, and just people have been so mad and up in arms about this, and you have the camps that are cool with it because they love the physicality of it, and then you get the camp that's like, there's no world in which this should be part of the lacrosse world, and this is trash, and blah, blah, blah. But to pretend this isn't going to help the PLL, it's crazy. They had that big fight earlier in the year, huge publicity for the PLL. And it's one of those deals where even bad publicity is good publicity, especially where the people that are calling something bad are just morons or pansies. So I think this is going to be good for the league in both ways. It's good for the league in the sense that people love seeing physical plays, people love seeing fights. It's just the way men are built to a degree. And no, it's not toxic masculinity. It's just men with testosterone being men. To a degree, that is okay, and it's good for society. And the PLL with the fight earlier in the season, they didn't really do anything outside of penalize these guys, and that was it. And people were mad about that. But the publicity that the league got for that fight was crazy because it was great video, and they had really close up front, right in your face footage of that happening. This is a very similar thing. A lot of publicity, a lot of people sharing this cross check and the scuffle after on social media. And that alone was good publicity for the PLL, even with the boo birds and all that crying about it. But what is even better publicity for the PLL is that they got this right. Post-incident, they fine him, they suspend him. We get to talk about this now for 2 or 3 more days. So all good for the PLL, and I think they handled it properly. I like Queener because I remember Queener as a little kid. I went to Keuka for a year, my freshman year in college, and I lived in Penn Yan for a summer. And I lived in Penn Yan for 2 summers. I lived in Penn Yan the summer before my freshman year as I went to summer school up there. And we used to play box in town, Penn Yan, at like one of their little town facilities. They had an outdoor box rink, a little hockey rink set up, but with just grass in it. So we used to go and just play pickup box lacrosse with all the PY homies. And, you know, it was actually very high quality pickup lacrosse. He had a couple of former high school All-Americans showing up to play, but Coach Queener was the one who kind of set it up, and he'd open it up for us and let us have fun. And then he'd come up and close it up when we were done. I think there was even lights on the field as I think back on it. And little Queener, I'm talking Queener, probably Brett wasn't older than 10 or 12 years old at the time, maybe younger. And he used to, Coach Queener, he'd just tag along with him. And if we didn't have a goalie, Coach Queener would let Brett get in cage and play with us as long as we didn't light him up. The whole rule was we could only take one-on-ones with him. So whichever side got him as the goalie, you couldn't light it up or anything like that. The only shots you could take on him were one-on-ones. But I mean, the kid was running around and playing lacrosse with a bunch of grown men at a very young age. So once I saw him go to Herkimer, I thought that was awesome, and I followed his career there. Then I followed his career at Albany. So I've always been a big Brett Queener fan and pro Brett Queener, and I'm still pro Brett Queener, even though he tried to kill Jules Henenberg. Maybe he tried to slash him in the throat because he thought he was too handsome. Henenberg is a pretty handsome fellow, so that could be it. But you know, who knows? The other thing that I'm really excited about, and I think a lot of us are excited about here, 2020 fall ball. It is upon us. The schedules are starting to come out once again. I'll put a visual up here so you can see it, but Lacrosse Bucket, Tanner over at Lacrosse Bucket has a running schedule so that we can kind of see what teams are playing where thus far. And it's surprising. Like the one I'm the most excited about, and I think I've already talked about this, is on October 5th, Denver comes all the way out here and they're going to play Syracuse at Cortland. Cortland has a huge stadium that is, I mean, hell, it's actually bigger than the high school that Syracuse played in this year when they played Duke. Huge stadium, both sides, huge stadium seating, and they actually have side-by-side fields where you can actually walk from one side of the stadium to the other. Great facility up there at Cortland. But Denver and Syracuse are going to play up there. There may be another team or two that was roped into it. I want to say it might even be like Lemoyne maybe playing somebody while they're up there as well. But 10-5, October 5th, Denver plays Syracuse. Time is to be determined. And I know also for anyone local here in the upstate New York area, I know Coach Tierney from Denver is going to do a clinic, I believe, that weekend before the game in Cortland also. So if you, I will have it up on I'll put it up on LaxFactor's Facebook page, facebook.com/LaxFactor, for anybody that might be interested in the clinic that they're putting on up there at Cortland. And then as we go through the list here, the 12th of October, Villanova at Loyola. The 13th of October, Michigan at Denver. So Denver's getting busy, and they're playing two high-quality programs in fall ball. The 13th, again, Virginia versus Penn State. So that's going to be a big one. It looks like they're playing that one at Georgetown Prep in Maryland on the 13th of October. 14th of October, Maryland versus Cornell. And when I first saw that they were going to do this, I was hoping to hell that it was going to be up here in New York, but it is going to be at St. Anthony's High School, sadly for me. And what else we got here? We got VMI in Washington and Lee on the 18th, St. John's Drexel at Lafayette on the 20th of October, and a good three-way down there in Virginia. Centerville High School in Virginia on the 20th of October, Notre Dame, Colgate, and Princeton. And then October 18th through the 22nd, we've got Virginia, Team Canada, Team USA at the U.S. Lacrosse headquarters for the USA Fall Classic. So fall ball is upon us. The big one I'm excited about is the Denver and Syracuse tilt up in Cortland that we'll be going to. So we'll talk about that more as we're getting close to it. Maybe we'll preview it, and we're going to get video of that, and then we'll do a post-event show for the Denver-Syracuse fall ball scrimmage. So that's a good one, too. Let's see. What else we got here? Oh, one that I'm super excited about because the NCAA listened to the Ted Man, as I like to call myself when I float around the house, and they announced that they're not making the changes, but they're proposing changes to the dive rule and the goal mouth. And what they're going to do, and first, oh my gosh, I'm sorry to be sniffing in your ear here. It's actually gotten hot in my office here so far this summer. As the summer wears on, it gets hotter down here, and I'm like literally I'm sitting here and I'm sweating. I've got lights on me. You know, I'm super handsome though. I suspect it's glistening, and it's just making me look even better than I already do. So NCAA announced a proposed change to the dive rule. So a lot of people have been reporting this as they were changing the dive rule. They have not changed the dive rule yet. They've come up with a proposal that they're going to now look at and consider later before the season starts. So the proposal, not a rule change, but a proposal, is that they're going to add a protected area inside the cage that designates the goal mouth, and it's that protected area that the goalie can live in without having any contact made. So how it's going to work is you can dive still. You cannot dive and land in this area at all. So this is kind of the no-no zone, I guess, as you would say. If you land in that area, even after the ball crosses the plane, that inside crease area, the goal will be disallowed, no penalty. If you make contact with the goalie while he's in that area, you get your minute penalty or whatever they decide based on the severity of it. And but there is no more making contact with the goalie in the crease period, and you get the penalty. So it's... Man, some people say this simplifies it for the officials, and it probably does a little bit. What I said was you either needed to make the rule simpler by just unlocking it and letting it all go and just go back to the regular dive if you score before the ball enters before the ball crosses the crease, or as long as you don't land in the crease before the ball crosses the plane of the cage, then it's a goal. And it's that simple. You can make contact with the goalie, you can do whatever. That'd be the simplest way and the easiest way to call it. That it was either that or they had to make it a little bit more complex for the purpose of getting rid of the weird arbitrary decision that the officials have to make in terms of, is he going towards the goal? Did he make contact with the goalie? Was he pushed? Now the rule just is you can't go in this no-no zone, and that's it. And I think that's better. I still don't like the penalty, and I still don't like the fact that that when you touch that no-no zone, I believe that the goal is going to be disallowed. I feel like the no-no zone should just be used to protect the goalie, and that's it. Meaning if you make contact with the goalie while in the no-no zone, you get your penalty, but no matter what, the goals should be allowed. But either way, I'm not going to get too deep into it or worry about it too much because it's not even a rule yet. It's just proposed rule changes. And the whole idea being that it's just going to make it a little bit easier for officials to call and hopefully make that call more consistent across, games and weeks and months as the season goes on. But either way, they're doing something and they're being proactive. I'm not one that likes a lot of rule changes, because I'm conservative in that way. I don't want you to change all these rules without knowing what their effects are going to be. I was very skeptical of the shot clock, but the shot clock rule has worked out so well that I'm kind of willing to give the rule committee the benefit of the doubt for a couple of years. I'm going to give them some passes for the most part. Another cool thing. And it's cool because it's just showing the growth of the game, especially where we're dealing with these big schools, is Ohio State is building a $20 million lacrosse stadium. It's proving they're willing to fully back their lacrosse program by committing to build this stadium, and they're building it behind their football practice facility. They'll break ground next October, not this October, but next October, with a completion date set for November of 21. So it's going to take a while, and it's not like they're hurting for facilities out there in Buckeye territory anyway. But so far, they've enjoyed the not-so-friendly confines, albeit cool confines, of the horseshoe. But it's kind of tough to provide a great fan experience for a lacrosse game in a stadium that holds 105,000+ people. And it's kind of hard to have 1,000 people in a stadium that holds 105,000. When I played club lacrosse at Binghamton University, we played a tournament in West Virginia, and we got to play on Mountaineer Field. And I believe Mountaineer Field at the time held 85,000 people, and there was 100 people watching us play. Now, this was just D1 club, so obviously there was never anyone really watching us play for the most part, but it was cool playing in the stadium with the lights on in this huge football stadium, but it was a little weird also that there was nobody there in this stadium, just empty seats everywhere. So, in terms of the lacrosse fan experience, I think it's better to play in a facility built to fit your fan base. I think it's better for the visual to have sellouts. It's better on paper to have sellouts. It's just better fan experience to have everybody packed in near each other. So I think this is a good decision. But while they wait for this facility to be built, they're going to be fine, chilling out in the horseshoe. And there's the other facility that they share, I think with soccer and girls lacrosse and things like that. So that was cool, though. $20 million being dumped into a lacrosse field for Ohio State. You can't go wrong with that at all. Let's see here. What else do we want to talk about? We have Ooh. Nah, we're not going to burn through that one. That one's going to be its own special podcast here.